Well, hello, viewers and listeners to CHP Talks. It's wonderful to be back with you again. And I am privileged today to have with me Mr. David Cooke, who's with Campaign Life Coalition. David, welcome to the show. I'm just going to give you an introduction in a minute, but thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Ron.
And for those who don't know David, he was born and raised in Brampton, Ontario, graduated from Queen's University, worked as an internet programmer for several years. And after coming to faith in Christ, David went on to study the Bible at Toronto Baptist Seminary. He served in pastoral ministry in several churches in Ontario and briefly as a missionary teacher in Honduras. In 2018, David took on the role of executive director of Citizen Go Canada, an organization defending Christian pro-life and pro-family values. Over the past 2 years, David has served with Campaign Life Coalition as National Campaigns Manager, focusing on various life, family, and faith initiatives. David is married to Heather, his wife of 19 years. They reside in Baker Brook, New Brunswick, together with their 2 children. And you're taking up the role as National Campaigns Manager there in New Brunswick. So, David, thank you for joining me today.
Well, great. It's great to be here. Great to talk with you.
And specifically today, there are many things we can talk about as government overreach, is troubling us across the country. And certainly a number of social issues that you and I are familiar with and that seem to be plaguing our nation. But specifically, I want to talk to you today about a petition that you have launched from Campaign Life Coalition. And tell us a little bit about the story behind that, what's going on, and why are you launching this petition?
Right. Like you say, it seems like there is an endless number of issues we could talk about. This is just one of the latest issues. And in a way, we're trying to be a little preemptive here on this issue, as it's not, it hasn't really come out in the public eye quite yet. We're trying to bring it out so people can see it, be aware of it, and hopefully we can head it off. But the issue here I'm speaking about is really a proposal, well, more than that, a promise that the Trudeau Liberals made going into the last election a few months back. In their 2021 election platform, they made a promise, a vow, that they would eliminate, revoke the charitable status that many pro-life organizations enjoy, that are trying to educate Canadians about the life issue. And in particular, they centered out crisis pregnancy centers, these wonderful organizations that provide resources, help, support, counseling to the women who are facing a challenging or unexpected pregnancy. And many of those crisis pregnancy centers, pregnancy care centers, they have charitable status in Canada, and the Liberals want to get rid of that status. And they have said that they want to basically discriminate against this view, this pro-life view, in terms of organizations operating in Canada for benevolent purposes that are trying to help, that are contributing to society. They just want to eliminate anything pro-life, it right. Seems.
Yeah. Well, you have to be wary when a politician during a campaign makes a promise. Usually we think of politicians breaking their promises, but what's even worse in this day and age is when someone like Mr. Trudeau keeps his promises.
Yes.
Because, I'd rather, we complained about him going and vacationing in the tropical area and using government funds to do that. But I'd rather he would do that for the next 4 years and stop pushing his anti-life legislation, stop spending the gobs and gobs of money that he's spending, stop telling Canadians how to live. So anyway, but he's not shy, and his government is not shy about pushing their agenda, their view of life, their anti-Christian worldview, their anti-life worldview on Canadians. And it looks like he's going to use the power of the public purse to do that. He's going to withhold. And of course, this isn't, they're not giving money to charitable organizations, care centers. They're just allowing donors to claim a tax credit, which, do you know offhand what that amounts to exactly? I guess it depends maybe on your bracket or whatever. What percentage of a contribution do you get a benefit from?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on your income. So, I mean, if you have a higher income, you can get a tax credit for more of your charitable donations, but it's actually not very much for charitable donations. It's not a huge benefit.
Under 20%, isn't it? Like
if that.
Yeah,
I thought it was maybe closer to 10, but
yeah.
I mean, the other aspect of this, I think, where it would hurt the crisis pregnancy centers or pro-life educational organizations more is in terms of if they lose their charitable status, what that likely means at the municipal level is if they own a building, they're going to have to pay property tax. And that's where it's really going to hurt. Because right now, charitable organizations usually are taxed not paying property tax.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, in the meantime, this same Mr. Trudeau, our Prime Minister, he will take millions of dollars, taxpayer money, and hand it out to organizations that commit abortions, both at home and abroad. It's hard to keep up with the numbers, and I'm not sure we see all the numbers anyway, but
he's committed hundreds of millions to foreign aid to promote, quote, reproductive rights, which of course is mainly abortion funding.
Yeah. And in British Columbia, here where I am, of course, we've seen the provincial government, same worldview, promoting abortion and promoting euthanasia. They've stolen the facility that belonged to the Delta Hospice Society, where they were giving good palliative care, very rare in Canada today. It's not everyone has access to real palliative care. These 10 beds, the government couldn't stand it. There were 10 beds in Delta that were not being used the patients there were not able to have themselves killed by the people looking after them. So anyway, it's a tragic worldview.
Twisted world we live in, that's for sure. Yeah.
So I think you mentioned that there isn't a piece of legislation yet. It's based, the purpose of this petition is to respond preemptively to what you see coming when Parliament reconvenes, and that would be this revoking of charitable status from pro-life care centers.
Right. And the thing is, we don't know how they're going to do this. They could revoke the status in a number of ways. They could introduce a bill and have the whole Parliament vote on it, and we can have debate. But they don't have to do that. They could do it kind of through some sort of just change of internal policy at Revenue Canada. They can do something without any vote, without any debate, kind of on the sly. So we have to watch very closely. And again, that's partly why we want to be preemptive, so that we can, get some people signing our petition, getting the numbers, getting people to call their MPs so that this issue can be exposed. We don't want them to slip it in through some little bureaucratic change, and and then all of a sudden we're trying to fight this in courts or do be on the defensive. So we want to be a little bit on the offensive here.
Yeah, it's all of us need to live, and we need an income to live. And it seems like the government is not shy right now to use money to deprive people of money, like they're firing people or promising vowing that they will fire people who don't get the vaccine, don't participate in the vaccine passport, and so on. And they're going out of their way to make sure that those people not only lose their jobs, and these are a lot of good, competent, experienced people, but that they will not even be able to get employment insurance as they try to figure out what they're going to do next. So the government is using definitely money or depriving people of money. We have seen it with the Canada Summer Jobs Program, where the government picked favorites again. If you were a pro-abortion group, pro-LGBT agenda group, you were qualified, and if you held to biblical values, you were denied.
Right. And this is the same type of thing with this threat to revoke charitable status. It's basically another liberal values test that is being imposed, where if you are pro-abortion, pro-LGBT, whatever, you'll be fine, no problem. But if you have a different opinion, different views, hold to different beliefs, all of a sudden, you're going to be out, and very likely there's going to be nothing you're going to be able to do, and it's going to create a huge disadvantage, and a lot of organizations are going to be have to close down. I mean, if a crisis pregnancy center, loses its charitable status, all of a sudden they have to pay property taxes. A lot of these crisis pregnancy centers are in urban areas where the women are using their services, where they're needed. And if they have to pay property taxes, and if their donors are not getting the charitable tax receipts that they're used to getting, and they're not donating as much, these organizations are going to struggle and close down. And what's going to be left? It's going to be, the pro-abortion organizations. It's going to be, the non-Christian organizations, and that are leading women in only one direction, which is abortion. Yeah. Where's the choice in that? There's going to be no choice, no help for women providing an alternative. Right.
Well, certainly are concerned that the government is picking favorites, forcing their agenda. They won a minority government, but that doesn't mean that the voters of Canada did not deliberately give Justin Trudeau carte blanche mandate to impose his views on this country. And there seems to be this arrogance, and he's not unique in that sense. It seems like provincial governments now, even municipal governments, figure, well, once they're in, we won the vote, so we'll just force our views on everybody. Right. And it's tragic, because women facing an unplanned pregnancy, especially young women who maybe haven't thought it through. I mean, if the government were doing its job, it might not be so necessary to have these crisis pregnancy centers, but the government is not. It's not providing complete information. It's not assisting young women who want to, keep their child. And it's certainly the lack of information, and that goes with this vaccine mandates too. People are being forced to make a decision without having all the information, and that's tragic. So I belong to the Smithers Pro-Life Society here in northern BC, and we operate a care center as well. We don't have charitable status, but it probably limits some of the things we could do, but. And I know there are different ones. Some have charitable status, some don't. And that's kind of a decision of the local boards to say, sometimes when you accept charitable status, you may have to go through more hoops.
Right. Yeah.
But certainly with the pregnancy care centers, it's worth it for the lives of these young women and for the children they're carrying to get through these tangled, regulations in order to be able to provide that service. So.
Yeah, in my experience, talking with different women who have been in crisis or faced unplanned pregnancy, what I have heard is that the pressure on them to abort their child is what is so strong, and what I've heard is, they want an alternative. They want someone who can help them through the pregnancy and give them support and care. And they're looking for that. And they're looking for someone to pray with them, a shoulder to cry on, someone to just be there, someone who isn't, of this mentality that, this child is just not anything but a clump of cells. Right. Someone who really values the life of the child, and they're looking for that, and they want that, and that's what these crisis pregnancy care centers do. What a lot of pro-life organizations provide is that listening ear, that heart of compassion, someone who really does value that child as much as the mother does. Mm-hmm. And the mother's just looking for someone who will help them. And this terrible proposal from the Trudeau Liberals would really try to shut down all those caring options for women, leaving women with less choices, less options, really pushing them to abortion even more. And that's the terrible thing about this.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't seem to care. So, David, thanks for this. And before we close off, I'm going to have you tell people how to find this petition. But before we do that, even anything else that you think it's a privilege to talk with you today? You're over on the East Coast. I'm on the West Coast, and you're involved in a tremendous organization, Campaign Life Coalition. We appreciate the work so much. A lot of great information comes out every day. Through LifeSite and Interim and Campaign Life Coalition. Anything else that it may or may not be related to this topic that you want to share with our listeners and viewers before we get on to the details of how they can sign the petition?
Yeah. I mean, there's so many topics we can talk about, but I just want to mention on this particular topic, there is an added threat that I will mention, and that is if the charitable status is removed from crisis pregnancy centers and explicitly pro-life organizations. I mean, what's to stop the government from saying, well, if a church is pro-life, or if some Christian camp or soup kitchen is pro-life, what's to stop them from revoking charitable status there? It happened with the summer jobs whole issue. I mean, they were denying summer jobs grants to even churches and camps and anyone who just was pro-life, pro-family. And the same issue could happen here with revoking of charitable status. So I think it's a broad issue that the Christian community as a whole needs to get on board with.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think we're seeing the tip of the iceberg here. We sort of sometimes do feel like we're on the Titanic and we're headed for some real troubles ahead. I mean, we've had this COVID for a couple of years business. Now we've got a massive debt that is going to hit us, is already hitting us in the pocketbook. We've got inflation. There will be increase in taxes on all levels, and this government seems to, if you don't hold government in check, you just ask the Canadian Taxpayers Federation. I mean, government will grow inexorably and swallow up more and more and impose more and more if we, the citizens of Canada, don't hold it to account and don't remind our elected representatives of their, why they were elected. They were elected to govern, to moderate, not to impose and dictate. So anyway, David, thank you so much for all this. And now I want to ask you to tell our listeners how they can find your petition and participate in spreading the word.
Well, it would be great if we can get more people signing. We are at 9,600 signatures so far. And if you want to sign, you can do so by going to campaignlifecoalition.com, campaignlifecoalition.com. And at the top, there's a bar where you can click where it says take action. And under take action, it says sign a petition. And the very first petition listed is the one that says Save Canada's Crisis Pregnancy Centers. So you can sign that. And as well, there's a place where you can, under take action, you can also click action alert emails. And there's an option there where you can send an email to your MP on this issue, a personal email. So there are a couple of things you can do, but it's all at campaignlifecoalition.com.
Well, thank you very much. campaignlifecoalition.com. Take action. And so we invite you, viewers and listeners, to visit campaignlifecoalition.com and take action and help raise awareness. Call your MP, or send a letter, send an email, and raise awareness. Ask them if they are going to support this move against life, against innocent preborn babies, and against the young women who are carrying unplanned pregnancies, who probably want all the information before they make a decision they may regret. So thank you, David, very much. Thanks to you and your organization. We wish you all the best in the days ahead, and just want to say we're together with you for life. Thanks.
Yes, thank you, Rod. And thank you for what you do at the Christian Heritage Party in the political sphere. We're just so glad you're there. We appreciate your work again for life, family, and freedom. God bless you, Rod.
Thanks very much. And to our listeners and viewers, we'll see you again next week. We have a special guest next week, another special guest. We're going to have Dr. Erwin Lutzer, author of When a Nation Forgets God, and his more recent book, We Will Not Be Silenced. So we look forward to having that discussion next week. So join us again. And again, David, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.